Hello, my name is Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm talking about living without a destination in mind. This is kind of an extension to the idea of purposelessness, to be without a purpose, and by application, living without a purpose. Now, this can be kind of an attitude or philosophy that you live by. It's like an attitude of life. You could just give up destinations. Just let them go. They don't really matter. And when you do this, there are many benefits and advantages, you could say, that come with this. For example, you can truly enjoy the journey. You can enjoy what's going on now. Think about it in terms of a motorcycle rider who's just touring. They're not, I've done this many times. I didn't have a destination in mind. I just picked a road and started going, and I just enjoyed the ride. Where I was going, where I ended up, didn't particularly matter. Where you ended up had no real significance. It was the journey. It was the point. The point was the journey, to be on this ride and going. And this is much easier to do, to just be in this enjoyment of the journey, when you don't have a destination. When we have a destination in mind, often we become attached to it and fixate on it. And we start losing awareness of the present moment, and we start losing enjoyment of the moment because we're so focused on getting where we want to go. I want to be there. There is where I want to be. And so you start having this craving to get there. And so you start to hurry. Can I pick up the pace? Can I get there quicker? Is there a way I can get there more quickly? Can I get there more efficiently? And then you just don't enjoy the journey. Because the point is to get where you're going, not the journey. It's a change of perspective. And so if you give up the destination, you can just enjoy the journey. It doesn't particularly matter where you end up. And when you live without a destination, there's no reason to hurry. You're not trying to get anywhere quickly because you're not trying to get anywhere. Incidentally, it's also impossible to be lost. I know I sometimes hear people say, well, I feel so lost. Well, what is it to be lost other than to not knowing where you're going in order to get where you want to be? To be lost is a function of having a destination of where you want to be. Again, when you're touring on a bike and you're just picking a road and going, you could be stopped at a gas station and somebody might go, do you know where you're at? No, I don't know where I'm at. Well, are you lost? No, I'm not lost. You don't have to know where you're at, and you don't feel lost by this. Because you don't have a journey in mind. You're just going, I'm just going this way. I'm enjoying the journey. And so there isn't a feeling of being lost, and sometimes not even knowing where you're at. Because there's been many a time where I've ended up in the middle of nowhere on a motorcycle, and I'm like, I have no idea where I am. But I'm not lost either, because I'm not trying to get anywhere. And then, you just keep journeying. And so, living without destination, you're able to enjoy the journey. You're able to not be lost. You're not hurrying. Also, I would say when you don't have a destination in mind, you are less likely to be fighting the current. And instead, you're able to be openly receptive to what is, and you can go with the flow far more easily when you don't have a destination in mind. Because think about it, if you're swimming across a river. If you've got a specific destination, I want to be there, and it's against the current, you'll spend a whole lot of effort to fight the current to try to get to your destination. And perhaps the current's swift enough where it's impossible to get there. And so you're constantly swimming harder and harder to getting to a place that you can't get to physically, because you can't swim fast enough against this swift current. And then what happens? You suffer because you can't reach your destination. I can't get here. And so you suffer. Or, back to a bit about if it was a slower current, what if it was questionable whether you'd make it? Then during the entire journey of swimming, there's this fear and anxiety. Can I get there? Can I make it? And so when you give up destination, when you give up this having a destination in mind, when you're in this river, you can just kind of go with the flow. You can just play in the moment. It doesn't matter exactly where I'm going. I can just float along or swim slightly here, swim slightly there with the current. And so, these things open up, these possibilities open when we don't have a destination in mind. Because when we have a destination in mind, we have this fear and anxiety. Will I get there? And if you can't get there, you suffer because I can't get there. If you have a destination in mind, you hurry. You might feel lost. You really can't enjoy the journey because you're trying to get there. It's all about getting there. That's what happens when we have a destination in mind. And so it's a possibility to have the philosophy of life, or just the attitude of life of, I don't have any destination in mind. I'm not trying to get anywhere. Which actually, in non-duality, you hear all the time. There's nowhere to go. So again, this is just a further application of the classic phrase, there's nowhere to go. Because when you have somewhere to go, you've got this destination in mind, and all this other baggage and suffering and stuff happens. But yeah, it's a different way of living. And I would say by and large, I've given up most of my destinations. If I got an appointment, I gotta be at the dentist at a certain time. Yeah, there's a destination at a certain time. And so there's things that you got to get to on time, but you're able to let go of this a lot more if your everyday attitude is, I've got nowhere to go. I'm not trying to get somewhere. I'm just enjoying the journey now. I'm not sure where I'm going to end up, but I'm going to take this road. I'm going to take this path. See what happens. It is a free-spirited way of living. Some will call it. They'll say that's free-spirited. Well, that is kind of the direction of enlightenment, because is not enlightenment also considered liberation? It is freedom. And so you would be more free-spirited if you were truly liberated. If you're not binding yourself down in, I've got to get here, and having a destination in mind. That's a way to bind yourself. And as soon as you bind yourself, you're going to feel anxiety, and there's gonna be fear and worry, and there might be suffering and not getting there, and all this other stuff happens because you bind yourself. And so what I'm describing is one aspect of living without being bound. Living without being bound would mean not binding yourself to a destination, not having a destination in mind, the more destinations you have in mind, the more you're binding yourself down. And so maybe play with giving up destinations and just letting it be and enjoy the journey. But anyways, if you got any questions, comments, please post below. Till next time, thank you much.